Hey everyone, it's C-Wire back with the C-Wire Nation, and we got some good gaming news to cover today. Phil Spencer's new Xbox strategy. Will it pay off? Is he crashing PlayStation's party? The range is hot, gentlemen. Let's send the rounds down range. All right. What we need to take a look at here is the success that Xbox as a publisher right now is having with the current games that they're currently putting up on the PlayStation Store. They're selling like hotcakes. Also going forward with their strategy is obviously the new hardware that's going to be coming out. I know there's a lot of rumors flying around, speculation. I haven't really seen anything super concrete yet, but as it looks like that the next console is going to be a hybrid, a PC console hybrid, which if you look back on the development of the OG Xbox, when they first started developing that is originally what that was supposed to be and run on Windows and all that stuff. And it ended up being something else, just a true blue console. The technology now has gotten to the point where I believe they're looking to the past to bring us into the future and to really do a true blue hybrid console. I think the technology is there now to do it. And it looks like that Phil Spencer and his team are crashing PlayStation's party with their new strategy. Now, am I saying that PlayStation's bad or anything like that? No, I would never say it. They got some good first party games, and if you have the money to fit the bill on a PS5 to play those, by all means, go do it. And I'm sure you'll have a great time with those games. But Microsoft's new strategy, it's kind of like if you can't beat them, join them type strategy. Go to where they're at. Because like I've said before, there are people who will not buy an Xbox either for reasons of they just don't have the extra money lying around to shell out on another console, or they're just heavily invested in what they currently already have. So what Microsoft's doing says, fine, we'll come to you. We'll put these games everywhere. And if you own an Xbox console, you're still going to get these games via Game Pass, or you could buy them outright for $80. We're going to talk about that. And the strategy of why I believe they rose their prices. There's the talk of the ARM running in the new Xbox, what that really means. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the 360 ran the same thing. I am not 100% sure, and I'll have to look further into that. But all this is very interesting in the direction they're going. So what does the new hardware mean? That everything now is an Xbox, so why make another console? Well, you got to figure. The dedicated hardware is going to be the best place to play the games. You're going to have the best graphics, the best load times, the best frame rates. Everything's going to be the best on the hardware. And that's going to be targeted to a specific audience, the hardcore gamer. That's what that's going to target. Just like how the PC world does it. Like people who, invest money heavily into some of their gaming rigs. Those are hardcore gamers that do that. The ones who are not hardcore gamers, the ones that maybe play a couple games a year or whatever, they'll be able to do it on their phone via, Xbox Play Anywhere. And this is where Game Pass comes in. With the rising cost of hardware and the rising cost of games, the strategy becomes even more apparent of what they're trying to do. It's like, hey, you can give us 80, or you could pay $20 a month and not only get that one particular game that you're looking to play, but you're going to get that plus all these other games that you want to play. And you can play them as much as you want. And if you decide you want to own that particular title, you get a discount on it. To me, it's a no-brainer what they're doing, and the fact that E-Day is going to be a big one that goes to the PS5, and it looks like that it will launch on the PS5. That's going to be big because you're going to have a whole new player base now exposed to Gears of War, especially with Gears Reloaded going to the PlayStation. That's going to open up the multiplayer base. It's just going to be good for the franchise itself. It gives it more legs. It gives it a wider audience. Will this strategy bear fruit? We'll see. Time will tell, but I'm very positive about the future because I'm looking at the bigger picture, and this is what we all have to do. We have to look at the bigger picture of what they're trying to do. What they're doing is never been done before. They're literally throwing out the old template of the way you go about running a game business via hardware, software, etc., etc. Now, keep in mind, and a lot of us have to remember this, Microsoft, at its core, before getting into hardware, they were a software company. So for them to kind of like go back to their roots, so to speak, and do where they're putting their software everywhere kind of makes sense from a monetary standpoint. It makes sense for them. But now that they're also rooted in hardware, they're going to still produce that hardware. Now, what form that's going to take, time will tell. But it seems like to me, if you take the time to look back at what they did in the past and what they were trying to do in the past, they're looking back there to forge the future, doing something that hasn't been done before. And that's different for us gamers because, for the longest time it was, these titles of games are only playable on this piece of hardware, and you have to have this piece of hardware to play these games. As I said before, I think those days are over. We're now going into new territory. And with the pricing, that's another thing we have to consider in this. The consoles are going up. Okay? The companies now, and PlayStation is going to do this. They already announced that they're going to be raising their prices. I knew this was going to happen. If Microsoft didn't do it first, they would have been the second ones to do it, and then Microsoft would have been the third ones to do it. But they're doing it. And with that being said, us as gamers are going to have to find other ways to enjoy this hobby. And that's where I think Game Pass comes into play. Now, for those of you that are PlayStation guys that are heavily invested into the PlayStation, you guys need to start making your voices be heard on their service that they offer, PlayStation Plus. Because in my opinion, as a Game Pass subscriber that uses Game Pass to enjoy my hobby, you guys should be getting more. PlayStation could be giving you more and they're not, and you should demand better because you are invested into their ecosystem, you're invested into their hardware. You should demand more, and they should be giving you more. It seems like now, because there's not really much coming out first party wise for PlayStation, it seems like everything is all these Microsoft titles. It kind of seems like to me PlayStation's resting on their laurels and just using the name itself to propel them. Well, we're PlayStation, so we can do whatever we want, and it doesn't matter. And to me, that is the wrong approach. I think Microsoft with the Xbox division and what they're doing is thinking outside the box, no pun intended, but going in a different direction, with the PC model, and that's what they're doing. They're going off the PC model that these games are playable. It's not locked down to one thing. So PlayStation's going to have to counteract this somehow. And I believe, and mark my words on this, they're looking at how this is working for Microsoft, their game selling in their store. And what the user engagement is. They're tracking this. Believe me, they are. And it's only a matter of time I promise you this. It is a matter of time before they announce, hey, we're going to start putting our games in the Xbox store. And we're going to put more games on PC. Because keep in mind, if the new console is a PC console hybrid and has Steam available for us to use on it, we can get games off of Steam. If PlayStation has games in there, I'm assuming by rights we'll be able to play them. Because it needs Windows to run on a regular PC, so it would have just make sense if this new console is running that, these games will run. So with the inevitable coming, at least in my opinion, remember everything I'm saying is just my opinion, how I'm viewing it outside looking in. They're gonna, I think they're gonna do what Xbox is gonna say, you know what? We'll just go to them. And we'll put some of our games there and they'll pay $80 to us for this title. You know, whatever that title may be. And vice versa. You know, Nintendo set off a chain of events. I said this before several videos back when Nintendo announced their new pricing strategy that this was going to cause a cascade of events to happen. And here we are witnessing all unfold before our very eyes. But I think the saving grace, at least if you're on the PC side of things and you own an Xbox consoles, we have Game Pass. So right now, just to put this in perspective, right now, I'm between 3 games. One which I own outright, which is Alan Wake 2. I'm taking a break from that right now. Right now I'm playing Indiana Jones. Having a blast with it. I'm also playing Doom the Dark Ages. Having a phenomenal time with that. If it wasn't for Game Pass, I wouldn't be able to afford to pay out the full Monty for all these games outright. I would have to pick and choose what it was I was going to buy. But now with Game Pass, I could just have it all. Like I said, I already own Alan Wake 2, so that's really neither here or there. But Doom the Dark Ages and Indiana Jones specifically, those 2 titles, I would have to, choose what I'm going to buy. Because as I said before, like a lot of you, we're all working full-time jobs. We all have rent to pay, mortgage, electric, you name it, got to put food on the table. We have families to support. So, the disposable income to constantly flush out for, a game constantly is just not feasible. And I think this is where Game Pass comes into play and becomes even more apparent that this is a value on our side. And PlayStation people, as I said, I beg you to go to PlayStation, make your voices be heard, and demand a better service. Because I think you guys deserve it, because there are a lot of you who are heavily invested into that system. And you deserve the most bang for your buck. I just think, this is all uncharted territory for the gaming industry, what Microsoft is doing. It's exciting as much as it is head scratching. Like, what does this mean for us? But I'm sure everything that we own now goes forward with us and continues to move forward with us. So that's good. I'm sure that has been promised, that everything that we own now goes forward with us to the next system. And you also have to take a look at their strategy on getting new gamers in. Now, I'm sure the next console that comes out, I would not be surprised if that comes in at under 900 or thereabouts. So what does that mean for the casual gamer that doesn't play many games a month? They're not going to want to dish out that kind of money. And you're absolutely right. They're probably not. But here's Microsoft's strategy. The fact that they're going to make it to where you could access a game on any device, be it via their handheld that's coming out, your phone, your tablet, or even stream it directly from your TV without having a dedicated piece of hardware, like I have right here, that's going to be the price point, so to speak, to get new gamers in. And the actual dedicated piece of hardware is going to be for people like me and you, who like having, everything on the hot dog. We want all the bells and whistles, and that's where that comes in. And we're going to be the ones that are going to be saving up and doing what we can to get that new piece of tech under our TV to enjoy this hobby that we all love. But anyway, I think with this strategy, we're now seeing all the seeds that Phil Spencer was planting from like 2015 on now starting to come to fruition. Because in my opinion, Xbox has been trying to recover from the Xbox One launch for the longest time, and they're still kind of on the back foot. But now I think they're really starting to get their legs underneath them, because now you're starting to see everything now coming to fruition, and now that everything's starting to come out, we're now starting to see what the vision was and how it's all playing out in real time in front of us. We're kind of like, we're not used to this. But gaming is changing, gentlemen. The way that we're going to be consuming our games, where games are going to be available, is changing, and we're just going to have to change with it. I think change is good. Change is healthy. It can be scary at times, but as long as we are able to play the games that we enjoy, and at the end of the day, that all that matters. It doesn't matter what piece of plastic you have under your TV or where you're choosing to play the game, as long as you're enjoying this hobby. And at the end of the day, and I've said this before, that's all it is. It's a hobby. It's something that we do in our free time. Some people have more free time than others. Good on them. I unfortunately don't. I get up at 2:30 in the morning, and I get off work whenever the job is done. I drive a trash truck, so working 12 to 13 hours a day is a norm. I clock in about 60 hours a week. So there you go. Working hard for my money. A lot of overtime. Kind of need it. But what say you? Meet me down in the comments. Let me know what you think of this bold new direction. Do you think Xbox is going to finally pull ahead of the PlayStation brand with this new strategy? In my opinion, I think they will. We're already starting to see numbers that indicate that there's a lot of enthusiasm for Microsoft titles going to the PlayStation. On the PlayStation fan side of things, people want to play these games. So, and that's good because, like I said, if the game continues to do well and sells more copies, that means we get sequels. Can't beat that. Can't beat that. Keep our favorite franchises alive. But anyway, the range is going to go cold. I'm popping smoke. C-Wire out.